Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dynamic Digital World. Today we've got 4 top stories. First one is about 53 iOS apps besides TikTok are grabbing the clipboard data, Facebook introducing a dark mode for mobile, Dr. Disrespe breaking his silence on his Twitch disappearance, and Google's phone app letting you know why business is calling. So let's go on to Google's phone app quickly because it's a 2-second story. Basically, if you're a big business establishment, then they'll be able to set up what's known as a verified call. So businesses can choose to go through this process, and part of Google's verification process will be able to send the dedicated verified call server to their phone number, your phone number, and their reason for calling. So, for example, say a company like Virgin is going to be installing internet in your house, but you don't know the number that they'll be calling on to confirm that. They'll be able to go through Google's verification process and say, Virgin Media, calling about your internet installation. And because it will be a number known by Google to be linked to that company, it will then be verified and you can trust that that's come through. Now, this is only going to be available on the phone app that is by Google. And this isn't compatible with a lot of Android devices, including Samsung phones. Now, that's not too much of a surprise. Again, it's just the way it works. With Samsung phones, they have a very similar feature anyway, where you can kind of check who's calling. So for me, sometimes it will come up with companies that are calling when, say, it's a bank or someone who's enabled that sort of thing to happen. So you can actually enable a feature where if you don't have someone in your contacts, or you're not in someone's contacts, you can still have it come up with your name on their phone when you call. Then never just coming up with a random number. If you either set it to come up with, say, my name, so Luke, I set it to come up when I call someone who also has a Samsung phone with my name, Luke, and it will come as a smart notice. So it's definitely useful when you're calling people. It brings up your name and it kind of lets them know who's calling, especially if they don't have you in their contacts. Now, and this is kind of what Google's app is going to do, except it's only for businesses. Now, our second story today is on Dr. Disrespe breaking his silence about his Twitch disappearance. Now, Twitch has not confirmed he's been banned, and this has happened 3 months after he signed an exclusive 2-year contract with Twitch for a life-changing amount of money. Now, they have apparently permanently banned Dr. Disrespe, saying he's in violation of company rules. Now, this happened a single day after Twitch announced it would start potentially banning streamers for sexual harassment and assault. Personally, I think this should have been happening years ago, but regardless, some people say it's too much of a coincidence. Now, we don't know why this is. However, Dr. Disrespe did release a statement. Start quote, Champions Club, Twitch has not notified me on a specific reason behind their decision. Firm handshakes to all the support during this difficult time. Dr. Disrespe. End quote. Now, he's saying specific reason, and that could be a bit of hiding. See, something that people can be quite close to doing, and I'm just speculating here. He could simply be saying that he doesn't know the specific reason why, and he is being banned underneath of these guidelines. Twitch has not said why they're banning him. So, now, it is a second-hand idea that he has been permanently banned, and it came through others, sources who spoke anonymously through people on Twitter. Both people tweeting how explaining they are unwilling or unable to share more. And Kotaku has since corroborated the ban with 3 additional sources. But Twitch won't go that far. Now, occasionally, companies do that because they refer the world's current understanding of a situation, even when that understanding is wrong. Now, Twitch did provide a statement which it declined to connect to Behemoth or Dr. Disrespe. So, as is our process, we take appropriate action when we have evidence that a streamer has acted in violation of our community guidelines or terms of service. These apply to all streamers regardless of status or prominence in the community, end quote. Now, all could be revealed in due time, and the publication saying that Dr. Disrespe has been permanently banned could look justified. However, we have no idea why he disappeared and what has caused this. So I'm hoping that if it is something serious, then Twitch would just come out and say about it, because they should really, as this is going to be a bit of a news story for a little bit of time. But anyway, let's move on to today's third story, which is that Facebook may be finally introducing a dark mode for mobile. Now, some users have started seeing the dark mode interface on iOS, and Google has in fact confirmed, Facebook even have confirmed they are testing a dark mode. Now, it's available for a very small percentage of people globally. This is what a spokesperson told The Verge today, Sunday 28th of June. Now, our Dr. Disrespe and Facebook stories have both come courtesy of The Verge. Our Google's phone app and 53 iOS apps grabbing clipboard data are both from Engadget. So, the mobile version of the dark mode on Facebook was introduced last month for desktop. Now, it's meant to cut down on glare in low light environments, according to the Facebook spokesperson that said about speaking to The Verge. There's no timeline for when it will be available to all mobile users. But it does appear to look quite nice from what I can see in the screenshots, but it's surprising Facebook has taken this long. They do already have a dark mode on Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger, not to mention that Twitter has a dark mode for its Android and iOS apps, and Google has even rolled out a dark mode for its app earlier this year. Now, these are becoming popular as they make apps easier to view for some people and are a bit more aesthetically pleasing, but they can also help preserve a device's battery life. Personally, I think it's good to see Facebook introducing a dark mode, and I hope we get to see more of these things popping up. If you're wondering why I'm going through these stories very quickly as well, I'm really sorry. It's been a long day, and I also kind of want to get onto the weekly roundup because we have some amazing news about Apple, and I'm just going to go over it quickly with a quick features rundown. So today's final story is 53 iOS apps besides TikTok grabbing clipboard data. Now, TikTok was known for grabbing clipboard data on iOS, but some other app developers are not mending their ways. Tommy Mike, I'm really sorry if I got that wrong. He told Ars Technica in an interview that an additional 53 apps identified in March are still capturing universal clipboard data, potentially sharing sensitive data with other nearby devices using the same Apple ID. Now, this is interesting itself, sharing sensitive data with other nearby devices using the same Apple ID. So, that sounds to me like they're potentially sharing it from your iPad to your iPhone. I don't know, I could be misinterpreting that, but if it's just with the same Apple ID, so your iPad to your iPhone, it's not too bad. Obviously, if it's more, then that's a problem. However, these apps are major titles. So, again, really sorry, it's been a very long day for me. So, companies like Fox News, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal are doing this. You'll also find it in games, for example, Bejeweled, Fruit Ninja, PUBG Mobile, and certain social apps. Now, app developers have vowed to alter behaviour. Alongside TikTok, 10% Happier and Hotel Tonight are cutting back clipboard use. However, some make a smart use of it. So, Pixelmator, for instance, only pulls data if there's an image. However, it won't be surprising if there are changes thanks to iOS 14's clipboard monitoring, which Apple is apparently going to credit to Misk, again, I'm really sorry if I got that wrong, and his colleague Hal Bakri. Now, concern isn't that this happened about some misusing the keyboard, there's a chance many other apps are exhibiting similar behaviour. As for all their Android counterparts, it's unclear how these apps will behave. As TikTok said, the anti-spam feature that raised alarms over the iOS version is not present in Android. However, it didn't say whether it accessed the clipboard on Google's OS for other reasons. Regardless of your device choice though, be careful when copying sensitive data to clipboard, and make sure to clear out the clipboard by copying a harmless piece of text when you do copy valuable info. So for me, I think this is just a kind of wrong actually. They shouldn't be copying people's clipboards unless given access. And I'm quite surprised Apple was able to allow this to happen. Apple is very locked down, but obviously clipboards are kind of needed to be accessed by all apps, so it does make sense. So yeah, those are the 4 main stories. As for weekly roundup, I'll just go over top features in each OS quickly. So iOS and iPadOS joint. You have widgets on the home screen, a smaller Siri in the bottom corner on iPadOS and in the middle on iOS. That will allow you to see what's behind Siri instead of taking up the whole screen. A more compact design for phone calls when you're using your actual phone. So say you're in the middle of scrolling through Instagram and a phone call comes up, it will now just appear on the top as a small kind of bubble pop down instead of like it does now where it just takes up the entire screen. Definitely a bit more like Android. Something you will notice is a lot of these are like Android. They've improved on them a lot, and I will get into that specifically. So I think those are the 3 main ones that they all have in common. Let's go into the differences. So iOS only, I think this is actually the only major one for iOS only, and that is the new app library. So on your last page of apps, you'll now be able to swipe one more time, and that will bring you to the app library. So all of your apps neatly categorized into folders that are automatically sorted by Apple. Now you won't be able to do this yourself. They will be automatically done for you by Apple. But again, some sorting is definitely better than no sorting. As for an iPadOS only feature, I believe that the main one is the Scribble feature. So there's a feature called Scribble, and what that will allow you to do is you'll be able to use your Apple Pencil to handwrite in any text field across any application, and it will recognize your handwriting and turn it into normal text. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention is you will be able to change default apps in both iOS and iPadOS, but only for your mail and web browser. So say you don't like Safari, change it to Google Chrome. Say you don't like Mail, change it to Outlook. You will be able to change those yourself, and we don't know if other apps are on the way. As for macOS Big Sur, it's actually a massive. Another thing for iPadOS, I almost forgot they're redoing the way some apps look to make it more in line with macOS Big Sur. So there's now a menu bar down the left hand side, and it's all a very more computer-like experience in their native applications. It does kind of emphasize the fact that macOS is slowly becoming a computer. Now, as for macOS Big Sur, like I just said, on iOS they are redesigning, or on iPadOS I should say, they are redesigning the way they look a bit. They're going to look a little bit more modern, a little bit more iPad-ish, I guess. So you'll have the sidebar down the bottom, down the left, and it'll just look a lot nicer and a lot more neat. As for other features, they're now also introducing a control center into the top right, and also changing the way that notifications can be pulled out just by pressing the time and date in the top right. Also, the context menus at the very top of your display will now be a bit more spaced out to make them easier to read. And also, as for macOS, it now has a more modern, more iPad-like dock and more iPad-like look and feel to it as a whole. There is also a small change for CarPlay, and that is the fact that you can now change the background for your CarPlay wallpaper. As for another 2 changes coming to iOS, again just remember to be, one is app clips, so you'll be able to scan an NFC code or a QR code, and you'll be able to download what will basically be a very small, very miniaturized app that allows you to, say, rent a bike to go cycling for a bit, or pay for parking. One of those sorts of things, or maybe you order at a restaurant. So it will allow you to do those sorts of things without downloading the full application. As for the other feature, you'll be able to unlock your car with an iPhone. So certain cars will be coming out over the next few years that will allow you to unlock your car using NFC on your iPhone. The first one of these will be a BMW vehicle coming out later this year. And this feature will also be being backported to iOS 13 devices. so you won't have to wait for iOS 14 for this to become available. So that's everything iOS and iPadOS, as well as macOS Big Sur. As for watchOS, they're enabling a couple more things. So you'll be able to have more than one complication from the same app in your watch face, and you'll also be able to share watch faces with other people. As for your complications, kind of like widgets on watchOS if you're unaware, and you'll also be able to do dance workouts now in the Workouts app. As for tvOS, there wasn't really much as far as I could tell. You'll be able to connect 2 pairs of AirPods to tvOS now, as well as play YouTube videos in 4K if you have an Apple TV 4K. So yeah, that's something I kind of thought would already be there, but hey, better late than never. So that, and our final announcement here, nothing to do with software, but is a hardware change coming to Apple Macs, and that is Apple Silicon. So for those of you that are unaware, in your iPad and in your iPhone, there is more likely than not, in fact no, there is an Apple created chip. Now these chips are designed specifically by Apple and built in-house by Apple. These same chips are now making their way over to the Mac lineup. Now what this will mean is some very good things. So if you're an iPad user, all of your iPad and iOS apps will now be able to run natively on your Mac. So that is definitely a good thing. So the Outlook app on an iPad will be able to run on your MacBook. Also, if you're a developer, you don't have to worry too much about developing for the Mac App Store and the iOS App Store or iPadOS App Store. They'll now be able to scale between the two. Another change that will be coming along with this, however, is the way that apps are coded. So with this means that they are dropping the x86 64 architecture, as they are completely leaving Intel behind. Now if you have an Intel Mac, don't worry, you will have support for the next however many years, but you do need to be aware that this support may not last for a very long time, and when the new Macs start coming out, it is recommended you do upgrade. I would recommend waiting for at least 2 years, which is when the transition period will be over and all that Macs being made will be on the ARM architecture. Now, good news, you will be able to just run your basic applications. So applications, for example, like your classic Microsoft Word, when you're installing them, Apple's compatibility layer Rosetta 2 will translate them at installation time so that they run like a native Mac Silicon app. They will probably not run as fast as native Mac Silicon apps, but they will run with decent speed. So I think that's everything for the weekly roundup and for today's episode. My name's Luke. This is Dynamic Digital World. Thank you for listening. Also, this video will not be up on YouTube until tomorrow morning. I'm sorry about that, it's just late and a very busy day. I'll have it up online tomorrow morning, so that'll be Monday and onwards. Thanks for listening. My name's Luke. See you in tomorrow's episode.